Hey, I'd like to take a moment to explain a little bit about my in-class family literacy activities. My desire in this activity was to produce something that could get families into the classroom and engaging with one another, not just one or two moms coming in to volunteer, but actually 5 to 6 families interacting with one another in a sort of play group environment. And I chose literacy as the emphasis because I believe that's something that families will think is valuable. So if I'm asking for their time, I want to give them an activity that they will enjoy and consider to be a valuable use of their time. Schedules, like I said, is going to be one of the most challenging barriers to overcome. And so I want to use this survey as well as other ways to get a feel for the schedules of my families. This survey also helps me to get to know kind of what are their children's habits about play and what are their home habits about literacy. The best article that I found as I was preparing this project was Is Parents Reading to Children the Key to Early Literacy Development? I absolutely loved reading this article, and I can honestly say that is not always the case when I read um, journal articles. I love how it starts with this bold statement. Parents reading to children is a cultural icon, so much so that it continues to be heavily promoted as the way into literacy. And as this article reviews the research on parental involvement in reading to their children, it explains that being read to is not enough. And as it explores other activities families can be involved in developing their child's literacy, it concludes that the major shortcoming is that shared book reading by itself, although potentially interesting for children and facilitative of their oral language development, does not foster emergent literacy development. The chief possibility of shared book reading is that, supplemented with explicitly teaching children about print, it has proven benefits for future reading ability. And so I zero in on these literacy essentials in the little mini lessons that are a part of each of the thematic activities. I chose to begin with 4 very common to everyday life themes. As you get to know your families better, you can develop themes that are specifically interesting to your families. But I wanted to start with themes that are just part of their everyday life so that the concepts they're learning about literacy can be translated into their everyday life. Each of my activities begins with this phonological awareness mini lesson, which is also functioning as an icebreaker to get families interacting with one another. So I love these activities. Also, one of the key aspects of each of the activities are these posters. In all of the mini lessons, I've provided these literacy posters. This is a concept I learned when being trained for kinder music playgroups, is that as you're doing these activities with families, you want to draw their awareness to the rationale of why you're doing it and what you're actually doing. And so these posters are a great way to do that. And then families can also take these posters home. So once again, that's what's happening with these shared reading experiences. Also, I want to do activities that are hands-on, playful, and fun, so that are also showing families how literacy is more than just reading a book to your child. And so I've created these activities where other literacy skills are also happening. Throughout my lessons, as you're looking through my materials, if I've highlighted in red, I'm showing you how families can get involved. If I my print is in blue, I'm emphasizing what literacy essential is happening there. For these hands-on activities and these play times, I want to show families that environmental print and pre-writing opportunities can be a part of a child's everyday life, not just those reading times. And I also feel like giving them something or letting them do something that they can actually take home also makes them feel like that time was valuable. Um, think about every time you leave the dentist's office, you get a toothbrush and toothpaste. There's a reason for that. People like going home with something. So I want to make sure to have that in each of the lessons. At the end, we have this free reading and playtime. I want families to just enjoy each other. Read some of the thematic books that I've provided for the activities, or play together with the materials and thematic toys that I've provided, engaging in these literacy activities as I'm going around and interacting with them and guiding them as well. I provided these book lists for each theme, and I wanted to make sure parents realize that stories aren't the only type of reading material. So not only the environmental print and the print that you make part of their play, but also the types of books and texts that we read have stories or informational. I also wanted to provide books that represent diversity. And so I've created these lists. So enjoy looking through how this worked out in each of the lessons. It was very time consuming to gather and or produce all of these materials. So if there is something as you're looking through that you're particularly interested in and you would like me to share it with you, just send me an email and I would be happy to provide you with that because like I said, it was very time consuming and I think the best thing we can do is share with one another the materials and the resources that we have. So thank you and enjoy.